Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Dreamfiction and today we will be reading the story The Emperor of Darkness written by Georgethetpeperson 55 releasing Issei from the hug. Issei, a quiet voice called out that barely anyone heard, but Issei heard it loud and clear. Issei turned around and saw Riaz, Akeno, Zenobia and Kaneko. Issei stared dead in the eyes of Riaz in silence. Issei, we wanted to apologize for our actions. We should have controlled ourselves, Riaz spoke. Please forgive us, Issei. I know that what we did was horrible and disgusting, but please find it in your heart to forgive us. Akeno was the next to speak. Issei, look girls, what you did was truly heartbreaking, but you were drunk and had no idea what you were doing. It's partly my fault. Maybe if I stayed I could have prevented this from happening, Issei spoke as the bad memories started to return. Please Issei, we understand what we did was horrible, but we love you. We want you to return to us, please, Zenobia begged. Sorry, but you still did it, you enjoyed it, and you broke me, shattered my heart, and that was the moment all the love, all the appreciation that I had for you died together. The old me, I'm sorry, but we won't have the same relationship we had previously. The most we could be is friends, but no more. Even that will be hard, Issei spoke as his voice was dead serious, in fact quite dead. Riaz and the girls stared at Issei in disbelief, but understood what he was saying. That was it, the end of their possible future together. The girls started to cry after falling to their knees as all of their suffering was visible to all, but Issei seemed unfazed by that, but internally he was all messed up. He was the luckiest and happiest man having the girls with him until that night. He had it all, they had thought of the future, but that future will never come. I think it's a record, Drake said, though a mental link. Issei about to say something, but a certain crow was getting impatient. Just go and do your fucking job. Azazel shouted. Yeah, whatever you say, you annoying crow, Issei replied with a tick mark. Balance breaker. Welsh dragon balance breaker. Alright, open an entrance for me, Issei ordered. You got it, Azazel replied before opening a big enough hole for Issei to fly through. Jet. Called out Issei, and with a flap of his wings, he flew straight through the hole before it closed. The moment he got inside he felt sick and uneasy, the killing intent and desire for destruction overwhelmed Issei a bit, but he shrugged it off. He flew for a minute and got close enough to the beast, which was releasing a lot of dark aura. It was just like he saw in his dream, ugly and monstrous, try a fearful sight. Eyes, you ready? I am partner, I already told you that I lend you my powers for everything you need, Vritra spoke. I'm with you, Issei. Hi, you know Issei, Welsh Crom Cruich said. Sure, let's just get over with this already, Yulong said impatiently. I'm always ready, darling, Tiamat said with a warm and calming voice. Let's do this. I want to sniff more panties, Hafner said. I'm with you, Al said. I stand by your side, Tannen said. I just want to sleep, Midgardsormr muttered. I'm all the way with you, partner, let's show that beast the wrath of the heavenly dragon king. Dreg roared. Issei smirked at the answers of the dragons. Alright then, let's do this. Issei shouted as he flared his aura to its limits. That action attracted Trihixa's attention almost instantly. Issei and his companions started to chant together. We who shall awaken. We are the souls who bring fear to our foes. We shall become the heavenly dragon king and protect the world. We, who will destroy you. We, who will bring you to your doom. You shall perish as we unleash our rage. Fear the mighty dragons and beckon from this world. Heavenly Dragon King outrage. His armor stayed the same, but the power that Issei was emitting made everything shake and crack. Trihixa felt he was a threat and wanted to get rid of him, destroy him. He started to move towards Issei. He was far enough from Issei, so he had some time to prepare. Issei summoned his spear and prepared his move, but Trihixa got too close, so Issei had to use some extra power. Shadow chains of Vritra. Issei roared. Black chains wrapped around Trihixa and his legs that kept him in place as it tried to break out. I need to finish this fast, I'm already getting tired, Issei said before pointing his spear at the monster. The spear of God, lend me your power. Let me, the heavenly dragon king, win this battle. I shall destroy all evil. And save the world from its doom. Roared Issei as the holy aura was flaring all around the spear and Issei himself. Hurry up, Issei, you don't have much time left. Vritra warned, but just as Vritra warned him, Trihixa broke out from the chains. Office now. Out of nowhere Office appeared and used her snakes to bind Trihixa in place. Holy evil eraser. Issei roared and a strong draconic and holy aura shot out of the spear straight at Trihixa, hitting it. Trihixa screeched in pain as it tried to block the beam. Dragons within me, lend me your power for the last time and help me defeat my foe, Issei roared. Suddenly black, red, light blue, dark purple, light purple, green, and violet pink draconic energies came out of the spear too, hitting the beast, but it still didn't do the job. It's draining me, Issei said as he could barely continue the attack. Suddenly Issei's aura turned pitch black, shocking Issei and the souls inside him, but before Issei could question, he felt his energy return and his aura returned to normal. But it still wasn't enough. Everyone unleash all of your power. You idiot, if we do that you will lose the last humanity you have left, and to regain the human form you'll have to train for at least 3 years. Drake roared back. That doesn't matter anymore. If we won't kill the beast we will die anyways. Issei argued. Greg and the others stayed silent, but after a minute everyone agreed to do it and they unleashed their full powers. Dreamfiction screeched in so much agony, but it still didn't work. The beast's regeneration was that powerful. Damn it, what to do, Issei said to himself before an idea poked in his head. Penetrate. Roared Issei, and as soon as he said those words the death beam went straight through Dreamfiction, destroying its body. Yes, we did it. Issei roared in victory. Out of nowhere the spear and his armor broke and shattered. Most of the holy energy went into Issei's body after it exploded massively from the spear and finished destroying the barrier, and several orbs came out of him. He immediately understood what it meant. The gear's seals were removed. All of the souls returned to their bodies, only red and dark purple stayed. Issei couldn't hold himself in the air anymore with his wings and he started to fall, and before everything went black, he heard some shouts and cries from afar. In a dream world, Issei was in a dark void, unable to move, just hear and see, questioning what was going on mentally until he heard a deep and powerful voice. Young one, it's not over, you shall face many more challenges and suffer a lot of pain, I hope you'll prepare yourself for what's to come. But the leaders. Sererg, Saji, Kiba. Screamed Riaz and some others. Once Issei killed the beast in some areas the holy energy blasted through people and the unlucky ones got either wounded or even killed from intense holy energy that came from the inside of the barrier, and the few unlucky ones were Sererg, Saji and Kiba. They were burning from the holy energy as they screamed out of pain. They were devils after all. Sererg and Saji died a painful death while Rizer got lucky enough just to get his one arm burned while he lost the other one, and because of the holy energy he couldn't heal anymore. Kiba had his left arm and face burned from the holy energy, but he was still alive. That's karma, thought some people such as Azazel, Sona, and Issei's girls. Riaz cried as she lost her cousin, while Larina, Ingvald and Tsubaki helped to passed out Kiba and teleported to the Citri hospital. Sona and her peerage didn't react to Saji's death. The beast was killed, people returned to their homes and take a long rest. The girls were about to leave too until Valerica suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Ingvald asked. Valerica didn't say anything as she hastily turned around and saw someone she hoped to find for a long time. The girls turned to look where Valerica was looking and saw a middle-aged man in his 40s with dark silver hair and hazel eyes. He looked much like Valerica. To some of the girls, it seemed that he possessed a bottomless and creepy aura around his body. He wore the same Mao Lucifer attire as Serzich's, although colored in silver, and had his 12 devil wings full on display. Hello, Valerica, glad to see my granddaughter after so many years, the man spoke. Rizav, I'm glad you had the chance to come, Valerica said as her body tensed up. She was looking forward to this very moment to finally end what she started years ago. Won't you give your grandfather a hug? You fucking mistake, Rizav asked with venom in his voice. Sure, you'll get your well-deserved hug, Valerica said before walking toward the man. The girls watched the scene unfold, not knowing what to do, but didn't lower their guard. Valerica was 10 meters from the man who was calmly waiting. She had a crazy smirk that grew bigger with every step she took. Balance breaker. Vanishing dragon balance breaker. Valerica immediately took off and flew with her energy wings towards the man who was still waiting calmly. As Valerica was about to hit Rizavam, he sidestepped and tapped her armor on the shoulder as she passed him, and her armor suddenly disappeared, most to everyone's, except Rizavam's shock. Valerica stopped 10 meters behind Rizavam and glared at him with hate. Surprised. This is my special ability that disables any sacred gear with a single touch, explained Rizavam with a wicked and mocking smile. Albion. Albion, Valerica shouted, but no response from her partner. You see? Your dragon can't even respond to you, ahahaha. Now, what are you gonna do? Rizavam mocked. The other girls took battle stances and got ready to help Valerica defeat Rizavam. Don't interfere. I will kill him on my own for what he has done. Valerica shouted as she noticed her harem sisters get ready for battle. The girls became confused and were not sure what to do. They wanted to help, but Valerica was against it. Hahaha. You think you can take me on without your sacred gear? Rizavam asked, but Valerica responded with only a battle cry as she charged at Rizavam while coating her limbs with strong and potent demonic energy. Hi. Valerica shouted with a punch, but Rizavam dodged it. She launched a barrage of kicks and punches, but Rizavam dodged or blocked them all easily. Maybe if Valerica hadn't let her emotions take over she could land a lot more hits. That went on for a while until Valerica suddenly launched a ball of demonic energy at Rizavam's feet as she leapt away. Valerica landed in front of the girls and watched the smoke slowly disappear. Once the smoke disappeared it revealed nothing, but suddenly they heard a burst of laughter from above. They looked up and saw Rizivum with 12 devil wings in the air. Aha. Is that all you can do without your gear? Such a disappointment you are. Always was, Rizivum said with a disgusted look. Valerica just continued to glare at the bastard who killed her parents and tortured her for days. Valerica, please, let us help, Ingvild begged. No. I must kill him myself. He murdered my parents, I must make him pay. Valerica shouted as she continued to glare at a flying form of Rizivum, but her body was shaking from the rage and sorrow that she felt. Suddenly Valerica felt comfort and warmth as all of the girls hugged her. We understand what you mean, but we can't just watch you fight him alone without your sacred gear. Just think how sad Issei would be if he'd found out that you got hurt or even killed. Irina said. Valerica started to think about it. Just let us help you, we care about you, we can't just sit and watch you fight alone, that freak. Murayama said. Valerica froze and slowly looked at the girls from the corner of her eye and saw all of her sisters smile. Valerica let out a sigh and nodded slowly. Are you done? You almost made me puke, Rizivum said as he landed back on the ground. All of the girls took their battle stances and got ready to fight as they powered up. You are going down, you scumbag, Valerica said. We shall see, you filthy hybrid, Rizivum replied with disgust as he got ready to fight too. Valerica didn't waste any time and charged at Rizivum once again, but this time not alone, as Murayama and Cadis charged from the sides with newly created ice swords that were infused with destructive magic. The three got to Rizivum and delivered their powerful attacks with an explosion. Ingvild predicted Rizivum's next move and shot a charged demonic attack into the sky. Ingvild's attack reached her target as they heard a grunt in the sky, followed by a loud thud. Rizivum tried to stand up, but before he could do that, Irina slashed with a light sword that was infused with intense holy magic. But before she could cut off Rizivum's head, he moved out of the sword's way just in time, but still got slashed across the back as he rolled to the side. Annoying brats, I guess it's enough of games. Rizivum said as he stood up with the help of his wings. Suddenly Cadis, Murayama and Momo passed out from Rizivum's intense and overwhelming aura, while Ingvild, Irina and Valerica struggled to breathe. Let me show you what it means to be beneath me, you filth. Rizivum said while he created 2 magic circles in front of him with Lucifer marks. The remaining girls felt what was coming. After I kill you, filth, I will get to that annoying dragon emperor that killed my experiment subject, Rizivum said with malice. When girls heard that, their expressions became cold and emotionless as they stood up and glared at Rizivum. What's this? You are still able to stand? Rizivum asked with slight shock and amusement. The trio didn't reply, they just stared at him with killing intent. Even if Rizivum was powerful, those stares sent cold shivers down his spine. Rizivum got tired of waiting, so he just shot 2 charged demonic energy beams at the trio. With a loud explosion, the area was covered in a thick smoke and dust cloud. Hahaha. That all you had? I guess I was excited for nothing, Rizivum laughed. He created a magic circle to leave, but heard a deep growl from the dust cloud. The loud flap followed by a gust of wind that blew away all of the smoke and dust, revealed the trio still standing unscratched and still with emotionless expressions, but what shocked Rizivum the most was a celestial blue dragon that stared at his very soul, with her cold icy blue eyes, and the angel with silver wings in her armor with a sword and a shield that blocked the attack. The celestial dragon released her cold and powerful aura, while Irina did the same with her holy one, and Rizivum understood who he was facing. The Dragon King and the Last Judge. What a surprise. Now let's have some fun. Rizivum said as he took off into the air. The 4 did the same with their wings. Ingvild launched a large barrage of water attacks at Rizivum. He had a hard time dodging all of those attacks, some hit him and slowed him down, as well as damaged him. Valerica shot 2 small compressed beams at Rizivum, and one of them hit him in the back as he was too distracted by Ingvild's attacks. The previous cut from Irina hurt a lot already, and another attack to the back put him at disadvantage, but that was not all, as Irina sent a large barrage of light spears that were barely avoidable with their speed. The celestial dragon proceeded by freezing Ingvild's water attacks and creating sharp daggers. It was too much for Rizivum to dodge, so he had to hide behind a barrier that started to crack when the blue dragon launched a blue flame at the barrier. The barrier shattered, but Rizivum dodged the attack, but not so lucky this time as his whole left arm was gone. He drank Phoenix tears and the wounds healed except for the Holy One, and the arm didn't regrow, of course. That was painful, but I will finish with you. I saved this for the Red Emperor, but I guess I'll have to use it here to get to him and torture him for eternity. Ha. Rizivum laughed like a complete insane maniac as he took out another vial from his pocket, but it wasn't Phoenix tears. I'll kill that dragon first with Samuel's blood, next get to you too, and later you know who already. After Trihexa was killed, Rizavam completely lost his sanity as his long-planned plans failed so quickly and miserably. Tiamat and Ingvild donned shocked expressions, while Valerica was completely enraged. Balance breaker. Vanishing dragon balance breaker. What? I deactivated your sacred gear, so how? What is this? How are you doing this? Shouted Rizavam, but as an answer, Valerica used her final move. Compression divider. Her energy wings spread and glowed light blue as Valerica slowly divided Rizavam out of existence. And no. Ugh. This is not how I will let this end. This is not the end. Rizavam shouted as he took a step forward, but something stopped him. It was a light spear that pierced his knees, making him fall. He looked back at Valerica and said his final words. Ahaba, I hope you are happy to kill me this time. For real, it's a shame I didn't get to kill your mother. But I ain't giving up, shouted Rizavam shouted as a golden cup manifested into his hand, but it was too late and he disappeared into nothingness and dropped the cup. Valerica's armor shattered and she fell, but Tiamat caught her just in time. She was asleep, she was too exhausted. Let's go home, Ingvild said as she picked up the golden cup, but it shattered much to her surprise and worry. Tiamat took every passed out harem sister before teleporting to their house with a single thought in her mind. Stay strong, Issei, and please come back soon. Hurry up, Dad, Auntie. We have to go. We wasted enough time here already, let's go have some fun. Kunu shouted as she dragged the couple by their hands. Alright, we're coming, Issei said while Irina giggled. Kunu is super excited today, I see, Irina giggled. Of course. That's because you're finally here. Kunu replied before Issei picked her up and put her on his shoulders. Well, where do you want to go first? Issei asked. How about we go shopping? Kunu answered with excitement. Great idea, Kunu, I agree, Irina agreed as she looked at Issei with stars in her eyes. Sai, let's go then, Issei said before they left. They arrived to a shopping mall. Issei didn't buy anything for himself, but Kunu and Irina bought a bunch of clothes. Even young girls suck your money out of your pocket for some clothes, Issei said as he carried a bunch of bags filled with the said clothes. Kunu and Irina giggled in response as they were walking in front of him. Is the big red dragon angry? Maybe I can satisfy him, Tonight, Irina teased with a sway of her hips. Oh? I see where you're going with it, my hero angel, whispered Issei to her ear before licking her earlobe, sending shivers of pleasure down her spine. Kunu watched their interaction with a side eye in interest for a moment. Where to now? Kunu asked, but before they could answer they noticed that there were no people around them. Everything has lost its color, and the feeling was familiar to Issei, but he couldn't remember no matter how hard he tried until he noticed the purple mist. Dimension lost, Issei suddenly remembered. It's exactly the same feeling when they were forcefully sent to an alternate dimension. Kunu, stand still and don't go anywhere, Issei ordered as he created the most powerful dome-like barrier that he learned from Vritra around Kunu, while Irina stood next to Issei, with 2 pairs of pure white angel wings on her back and a golden halo above her head, ready for combat to protect Kunu. Well, we meet again, Red Dragon Emperor, a familiar voice spoke from a distance. From the purple mist came out a handsome young man with short black hair and blue eyes. He wore a combination of a Japanese school uniform, but he wasn't alone as 3 other people followed behind him who were Heracles, Georg and Jean, but something seemed off with her. What do you want, Cao Cao? Issei snarled. Oh, nothing, I just came to kill you, Cao Cao said. Ha. Like you have a chance, Issei mocked. Oh, I'll enjoy crushing your bones, kid, spoke Heracles. Where's Valerie? Issei asked in a threatening manner. Oh, her? She's in our HQ, we will use her to unseal Trihexa, she does have the right gear to do so, but you already know about that, don't you? Cao Cao said, not trying to hide his goals. Tell me where she is exactly. And why would I do that? Cao Cao scoffed. You'll die soon by my hands anyway, Heracles said as he cracked his knuckles. And for good measure you'll have a taste of this, Cao Cao said as he showed a vial with some black liquid. Here, you see I have a really powerful curse, I believe your dragon can already tell. Cao Cao said with a grin. Partner, it's Amel's blood, if even a drop ends up inside you it will kill you painfully and destroy not only the both of us, but every soul in you, Dreg warned. And why would you do that? Issei asked. Because I was ordered to by Rizavam, of course. Issei instantly felt extreme rage grow when he heard the bastard's name. That bastard he killed, Gasper. Ha 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 ha. Actually it was me who killed the useless damper, Cao Cao laughed before revealing the truth. Everything slowed down for Issei, Gasper's killer. His little brother's killer. Was. Right. In. Front. Of. Him. I'll kill you, Issei said quietly without any emotion, but Cao Cao could feel the killing intent coming from Issei in huge waves. Issei's eyes became that of a predator as he whispered something that caused his power to skyrocket. Balance breaker. Welsh dragon balance breaker. Issei was now in his standard red dragon armor. Oh? So we will play now? Cao Cao joked. Issei didn't waste any time and activated jet to fly toward Cao Cao. Jean, take care of the angel, Georg take the princess, Cao Cao ordered. Cao Cao got ready to block the attack, but at the last second, he sidestepped because he felt what kind of power was behind that punch. Wow, I see you improved, Cao Cao said, but Issei didn't answer as he kicked Cao Cao to the side and sent him flying into a wall. He was about to follow up with another attack, but before he could fly towards Cao Cao, Heracles grabbed Issei by his leg as a golden aura glowed around him and slammed him on the ground, shattering it in the process before throwing him into a building with a loud explosion. Dust covered the building, but before it could settle, Heracles was hit by a powerful dragon shot that sent him to an opposite building with much more force. Well, I think it's time to get serious, Cao Cao said before shocking Issei. Balance break and suddenly 7 orbs appeared behind Cao Cao. Here is my subspecies balance breaker, I call these orbs 7 treasures as they have their own special abilities. Of course, I won't tell what they can do. You'll have to find it out for yourself, Cao Cao explained. Issei then proceeded to punch Cao Cao, but he dodged his punch by saying something. Issei on a Cao Cao said right before the punch could hit his face, he teleported behind Issei and used his spear to destroy Issei's armor. Issei immediately backed away. You see? My first ability lets me teleport anywhere I want and anywhere I want, Cao Cao explained. Balance breaker. Ascalon. Welsh dragon balance breaker. Blade. Meanwhile Issei was occupied with Cao Cao and Heracles. Irina was doing everything in her power to protect Kunu from the 2 attackers, and honestly, she was having a tough time against Georg. He truly was talented magician, but something was wrong with Jean, she wasn't attacking as hard compared to last time, nor was she as talkative. It was as if she was controlled and looking at her dull eyes that could be counted as a confirmation. Irina was clashing with Jean while occasionally throwing light spears at Georg, who simply blocked them or evaded them. But it suddenly got harder for her as elemental attacks started to fly towards her, forcing her to evade them. Georg has decided it was enough of playtime and went straight to the barrier where Kunu was while Irina was distracted. Auntie? Kunu suddenly shouted. Irina blocked another strike from Jean and pushed her away before turning around to see Georg trying to dispel the barrier. Get away from her. Irina shouted as she launched a couple of light spears at Georg, who blocked them with magic circles. Not bad for a low-ranked ace, but unfortunately for you, it's not enough to even scratch me, spoke Georg as he summoned a bunch of different kinds of magic circles behind himself, like Norse, Fallen Angel, and Demonic, and launched them all at once straight at Irina. Irina watched as different attacks approached her at high speed, but what surprised Georg for a moment was that she was unfazed by the number of the attacks, she just leaned forward a little and held her light sword behind her ready to strike. But what surprised him more was Irina's speed and sword skills. She cut straight through all of the attacks with her light sword with the impressive speed. But Irina didn't get to catch her breath as she barely blocked a downward slaw from Jean. Well, that was surprising, but you are still no match, Georg said as he walked back to the barrier. I'm not done. Irina shouted as she stabbed Jean's shoulder and slashed at her left side before kicking her in the legs and knocking her over. She was about to get up, but Irina hit the back of her head and knocked her unconscious. Georg was quite impressed by the angel's skills, but didn't worry as he was about to crack the barrier open. But before that could happen. Auntie, please save me. I'm scared. Kunu cried. Irina could see the tears and pure and utter fear in Kunu's eyes. The little kid was scared like never before. Then something just snapped inside Irina. Hi. Irina let out a cry as a golden holy aura manifested and surrounded her whole body. Her eyes were consumed by the same golden glow, same with her long golden hair, and something really unexpected happened. 4 more wings sprung from Irina's back, and her power increased exponentially. But the flick of her fingers, hundreds of light spears were summoned behind and around Irina. The spears themselves were different, they were more powerful, potent, and they were thinner, they were releasing a ton of holy energy. George watched in awe as this was the first time he saw a lower-class angel just grow in strength in the middle of battle and summon so many spears. Only someone like the great Ceres could do something like that. But that pure golden glow in her eye sockets was something totally new. Georg was too distracted to notice the hundreds of spears approaching him, but he reacted just in time as in response, he summoned hundreds of barriers in front, but was surprised to see that some of the spears ignored the barriers and pierced right through like they were nothing. What a crazy power-up, Georg muttered as he prepared for real combat, finally taking this seriously. As Irina's attack finished, a golden glow from the sky landed on Irina. Georg continued to watch in interest, but that was his fatal mistake. The light disappeared and revealed the angel warrior standing now in a golden armor with silver accents with runes and held a golden greatsword with a silver hilt in her right hand and a big golden shield with a large silver cross and silver wings on the sides, but that was not it, her wings were now only two, but they were large silver wings just like the ones on the shield. They almost looked like blades themselves. And no way, how did you manage to get this? It's said to be locked away by heaven itself. Not even Michael has access to heaven's last armor of judgment. Georg suddenly erupted in anger and fear, he knew a lot about heaven, and he certainly knew of the armor and the weapons. If the armor suddenly presented itself, that means heaven chose a suitable host for it. Irina lifted her new sword and pointed it at Georg, who flinched. And without a warning, the angel took off at blinding speed, ready for round 2. But Issei sprinted towards Cao Cao with Ascalon in his hand with an intent to end the bastard's life, but the carrot on a Cao Cao said, and Ascalon shattered before it could even connect with its target, much to Issei's surprise, and Cao Cao without wasting any time destroyed Issei's armor once more. A theoret on a Cao Cao said, and one of the orbs flew towards Issei and lifted him from the ground before slamming him back again and again and again. You see? You can't defeat me, you weakling. Cao Cao mocked. You can't even protect anyone. I killed the useless Damfer. And soon you'll die too, but before that I might let you see as I kill your angel, Cao Cao said, while the glowing Heracles approached Issei. Issei got up to run towards him, but Heracles punched Issei, and an explosion sent him to a wall of another building, followed by some kind of numerous missile-like objects, which exploded upon reaching the building Issei was in. Cao Cao laughed at Issei's misery and weakness. Now it's time to end this, Cao Cao said as he took the vial in his hand, but before he could take another step, a high pressure of aura made Cao Cao and Heracles drop to their knees. What is this power? Cao Cao questioned. He then looked only to see Issei approaching and saw his eyes glowing red. It was too much for Cao Cao as he could barely breathe and dropped the vial on the ground. I agree, time to end this, Issei said. He was about to use his teleportation magic, but Issei stopped the time. Issei got to Cao Cao and grabbed the vial in one hand and grabbed him by his hair with the other and resumed the time flow. Cao Cao looked terrified as he saw Issei hold him, luckily for him, before Issei could do whatever he planned. Heracles tackled Issei and exploded, launching Issei and Cao Cao apart from each other. Heracles was badly hurt now but was still able to stand, he turned towards Cao Cao. Bishu, but before he could finish, black chains of shadows suddenly wrapped around him and dragged Heracles towards Issei, who then stomped on Heracles' chest while he was still down. Pathetic, Issei whispered before forming a small ball of energy and vaporizing Heracles out of existence. Just how is this possible? Cao Cao screamed. Have you not noticed that I was just playing with you? I didn't even boost once, I was just giving false hope, false sense of control of the situation, Issei revealed as he walked slowly towards Cao Cao. Wait, that's right, I didn't hear a single boost. Just what kind of monster has he become? Cao Cao pondered. He tried to come up with a plan, any kind of plan, but got nothing, that is until he noticed Irina in her powered-up state and an almost dead Georg on the ground who had missing arms and a leg. He was bleeding a lot, he didn't have a lot of time left. Cao Cao stood up and shouted a Siratana and disappeared from Issei's sight momentarily until he saw him in front of Irina. The Tiratana, Cao Cao said as he pointed the tip of the spear at Irina, who prepared to block the attack, but instead of an attack, Irina's armor and weapons disappeared and her strength left her body as she fell on all fours, panting for air before collapsing completely. Cao Cao saw Issei run towards him, but he was faster to grab Irina and point the spear to her back, making Issei stop. Both stared at each other in silence, no words were needed as both knew what to do. Either Issei lets Cao Cao leave or he takes Irina with him to an afterlife. But what Cao Cao didn't notice was his shadow moving slightly despite him standing still. After a few more moments of standing, Cao Cao made his move and was about to stab Irina, but black chains sprung from his own shadow and just in time wrapped around his arm and pulled him back violently, forcing him to release Irina. Issei rushed to Irina's side and quickly grabbed her before moving away from an attack. I have to admit, you certainly surprised me, both you and the angel, to beat Georg like that, but I ain't going down so easily, Cao Cao said before pointing his spear at Issei, who teleported Irina back to Yasaka. Aranea Karatana, Cao Cao whispered, but suddenly pointed at the barrier where Kunu was. Issei could feel the power that the spear emitted and knew that the barrier wouldn't last as it was weakened by Georg already. The only option Issei has was to become a shield for Kunu. In an instant the attack was released from the spear and Issei appeared in front of the barrier just in time with the help of his Baler's weave to block a very destructive attack straight to his back. DHHCK. Ad. Kunu shouted in worry as she watched Issei take a massively destructive attack to his bare back. As the attack finished, it revealed a large and deep crater with Issei in it holding Kunu, who soon passed out from stress. His back was severely burned from the massive heat and power, but was able to avoid any fatal wounds. Even Cao Cao was surprised to see Issei still breathing, but wasted no time and tried to escape, but was too slow. "You'll die here," Issei said as he instantly appeared in front of a scared Cao Cao, very angry. Issei grabbed Cao Cao by his throat and squeezed it tightly. Cao Cao tried to remove his hands, but nothing worked as he just managed to drop his spear until his left eye turned to that of reptilian, which confused Issei until he understood what was going on as he noticed his skin turn to stone, but slowly. Issei then with his free hand grabbed the vial that Cao Cao brought himself from the pocket and opened it. "You did this to yourself," Issei said and poured the contents of the vial onto Cao Cao's eye, making him want to scream out of agony, but Issei was still holding him by the throat. This was happening for a few seconds before he finally stopped moving, and for good measures, Issei snapped Cao Cao's head backwards and slowly burned his remains. "I avenged you, lil bro." "Issei, grab the spear, it will be the key for your quest," Drake said. "Really? What he's saying is true, grab it before it disappears to find another host," Al warned. "Right," Issei replied as he grabbed the spear, which glowed golden for a few moments before returning to normal. "You successfully obtained the true Longinus partner of Ritra informed." Issei then looked around and saw an unconscious Jean and almost dead Georg, but a small amount of mist was on Georg's chest. "Is that?" Issei asked. "Yes, that's dimension lost, you should be able to get it too before it disappears," said Vritra. Issei walked up to Georg and grabbed the mist, which felt weird to do. "Will you absorb it?" Drake asked. "No, Irina deserves to have it," Issei replied. He then turned the other way and walked up to Jean. He started at her before deciding to take her with him, she might have valuable information. The dimension was starting to shake, meaning he was about to return to the real world, but before that he burned Georg's remains and teleported so that no ordinary humans could see him. "Issei, you're finally back. What happened out there?" Yusaka asked with worry. "We had problems with the brigade, Cao Cao attacked, can you treat this girl?" Issei asked at the end as he showed Jean to Yusaka. "Certainly, bring her to one of the free rooms, I'll call for medical professionals," Yusaka said, but once Issei walked by her, she saw his whole back painted red from his blood and a lot of wounds still bleeding. "Oh my Issei. You're back." Issei stopped for a moment. "First the girls then me," Issei said simply before walking off. "Time skip. Seems they will make a move soon if they are trying to get rid of me." "How's it going with the chant?" Issei asked. "It's finished. But from now on you have to stop training until the fight. If not you'll die from exhaustion after the usage of our powers," Drake warned. "Alright, noted." After a few moments Issei left the room to meet up with Irina, and upon entering her room he found her still asleep. He was grateful that Yusaka did everything in her power to heal Irina. She didn't suffer any dangerous wounds, only slight internal damage, but there was nothing that Phoenix tears couldn't heal, but Yusaka said Irina should rest a few days after waking up. "I'm sorry for letting this happen, I just felt that you were about to break through your limit and you surely did, my amazing angel," Issei said before taking out the same purple mist, but it was smaller than before, it was disappearing. He then placed the mist on Irina's chest and let it merge, which happened in a few seconds. "This is yours, now rest my sweetheart," Issei said before giving her a kiss on the forehead. Time skip. The next day Issei brought Irina back home and let the girls take care of her in one of the girls' rooms. They of course bombarded him with questions which Issei had to answer. A few days later, of nothing eventful, Issei was getting bored, he wanted to at least train, but Drake and the rest protested against it. Right now he was sitting in his bedroom alone as he mediated, but suddenly someone entered the room. Issei, a voice called out. As he opened his eyes he saw Momo standing there with a blush. "Please don't die when you'll go fight the beast," Momo asked. "I can't promise that, sorry," Issei said honestly, because anything could happen. "I tried to say something, Momo, but couldn't." Issei came up to her and brought her into a hug. "What is it, sweetheart?" asked Issei. She didn't say anything, but instead kissed Issei, and of course he replied to the kiss. They made out for a couple of minutes until Momo started to undress him. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Issei asked. She just smiled and continued what she was doing. "This will be as good luck," Momo said before kissing him again. That's the reason why they didn't sleep almost all night. The good thing is that Issei cast a sound barrier, otherwise, the neighbors would have been very angry. In the morning he noticed that he was alone in bed. As he got up he took fresh clothes and went to the bathroom. After a quick shower, he came to the kitchen and found Momo and Valerica talking while cooking breakfast. "Morning." "Oh. Good morning, Issei," Valerica replied. "Morning," Momo replied with a smile. "Want some breakfast?" Momo asked. "Not now, I have to go. I need to get ready for the big fight," Issei said. Both of the girls' moods went down a little. Not because he won't eat, but because he was willing to fight an extremely dangerous fight. "Valerica, I need you and the rest to gather in an hour." we will have to attend a meeting. This time we won't wait until they'll be ready to attack. Because we will be the ones attacking them, explained Issei. Valerica only nodded as Issei left via magic circle. So it will happen pretty soon, huh? Momo said. Yes, it will. Would you come with us or go with Sona? Valerica asked. As much as I want to go with you, I have to go with Sona because if I won't listen to her orders, I'll be punished or counted as a stray, replied Momo. Alright then, see you in the meeting, Valerica said. Yeah, see you later, Momo said as she teleported to Sona. Valerica created a magic circle next to her ear. Alright girls, get ready, we will have a faction meeting in 30 minutes, so hurry up, Valerica ordered before the magic circle disappeared. The meeting. Around the table were seated each faction representatives, but this time Odin attended the meeting too. Behind them stood Tannen, Grafia, Gabriel, Penemu, and Thor. With Issei came his girls, with Serzich's Orc, Student Council, with Michael Brave Saints excluding Arena because she was still recovering, with Azazel Team/Dog, and with Odin his best Valkyries including Roswis's sister. Alright, we can start the meeting, Issei said. So does anyone have any suggestions on how to deal with the brigade? Michael asked. We should send our men to deal with brigade members. 2 evil dragons are siding with the brigade, so Thor, Tannen and Dulio should take care of them. Valerica's team will be support for Thor, Dulio and Tannen. Valerica and I will deal with Rizavam and rescue Valerie, explained Issei. Alright, and you will take the beast? Odin asked, knowing the answer. If they manage to release the beast then yes, I'll deal with it, said Issei. You mentioned 2 evil dragons, who are those dragons exactly? Serzich's asked. It's Grendel and AI. Issei replied. That's not good, Michael said. If they won't be able to defeat them, I and Valerica will help after we kill Rizavam and rescue Valerie, but I believe Thor and Tannen will be enough, Issei explained. Alright, Devil faction agrees to participate. Fallen Angel faction agrees to participate. Northern Pantheon agrees to participate. Angels agree to participate. Great, this meeting is officially over. We believe that Rizavam is in Romania, so get ready, said Issei. The leaders nodded before teleporting away. Only Odin stayed. Dear boy, the soul you asked for, Odin said as he gave Issei a grayish-green orb. Thank you, old man, Issei thanked before grabbing the orb. Haha, no problem, just return it afterwards, it wasn't easy getting it from that lazy dragon, Odin said with a chuckle. Sure thing, Issei replied before Odin teleported back to Asgard. Issei did the same with his girls and Tannen. They teleported to Dragon faction territory. Tannen, I need you to prepare our warriors for tomorrow and inform everyone. Before we leave tomorrow we will cast a powerful barrier that only dragons or people with our permission can cross around our territory, Issei ordered. Understood, leave it to me, Tannen said before turning into his full form and flying away. Issei then teleported everyone back home and he immediately slumped onto the couch. Sigh, that was tiring, Issei said with a sigh. Want some tea? Ingvald asked. Sure, Heim. Everyone sat with Issei while Ingvald made tea for everyone. Rest for today, as tomorrow we will have a Luong day, Issei said as he closed his eyes. The girls nodded and got even closer to Issei. After a minute a magic circle appeared and Momo came out of it and saw how everyone was clinging to Issei. That's not fair, said Momo with a pout. Then come here, Issei said with a chuckle as he pointed to his lap. She immediately sat down and rested her head on his shoulder. Better? Asked Issei. Yep, answered Momo happily. After some time Ingvald came back to them with some tea, and right at that moment Arena arrived from her room, but she was a little different, her hair was much longer, and her height in general increased quite a lot, she had more curves, and even a larger bust, her face was sharper, and even the look in her eyes was different. She wasn't a girl anymore, but a real woman, and that was starting to arouse Issei. I wanna join too, Arena declared. Alright, let's go to the bedroom then and just cuddle together, Issei said. Everyone got up from the couch and went to the bedroom where they cuddled for the rest of the day. Alright, are you prepared? Issei asked as he stood in the middle of the living room dressed in his combat clothes. He wore a simple shirt and a protective jacket. He had cargo pants and boots. Yes. Girls replied wearing their own combat clothes, including Arena, she recovered from her last fight. Alright. First, we have to get to my people and get ready for the battle, Issei said. Issei teleported them to the dragon territory and appeared in front of hundreds of dragons, while the girls stood behind him with serious expressions, as Tannen stood right beside him. Everyone listen up. Today we will march strongly to our first battle. Some might die if the Chaos Brigade is lucky enough, but we dragons are strong and fearless. We have no other choice but to defeat the Chaos Brigade once and for all, to achieve the peace for our loved ones. We will show everyone that the mighty dragon faction will come up on top victorious. Issei declared. The dragons replied with their strong roars as support and appreciation. Tannen and I will cast a powerful protective barrier around our territory that only dragons will have the ability to enter or leave. Others will have to get permission from me or Tannen. So until we come back, please don't leave this place under any circumstances and protect each other if the worst comes. Issei ordered before he and Tannen raised their hands in the air above their heads, and a huge red, black, and purple-colored magic dome barrier appeared. Now brave warriors, gather up and lend me and our faction your strength. Issei ordered. Immediately after his words, a small group of strong dragons who were in their human forms equipped with quality armors landed in full glory behind Issei ready for their next orders. Wish us luck. Issei spoke his final words before he and the rest teleported to a secret camp near their target. So you finally decided to come? Azazel spoke with a smirk. Well, I had to talk to my people and ensure their safety, Issei answered. Oh? And how did that go? Azazel asked. It went fine, Issei replied. I see. Are we ready to go? Another person spoke coming from a tent. Yes, we are Surziches, Issei answered. Good, then teams gather up, Surziches ordered. After a couple of minutes, everyone was made into teams. Thor, Tannen and Dulio take care of the evil dragons, Issei ordered. Will do, Tannen said while Dulio nodded his head. Only one person started at Issei with a look of interest, that was Thor, who took the form of an extremely tall and muscular man with long, red hair that went past his waist, yellow eyes with black sclera. Numerous golden patterns emanated from his hands and eyes. Thor donned a white sash around his torso. Several brown belts could be seen around his waist with one worn diagonally. He also wore 2 leggings that went past his knees. Thor could be seen carrying 2 well-known divine weapons. A gigantic hammer, Mjolnir, and 2 gloves, Jarngreeper. After a moment of exchanging fierce looks with the god of thunder, Issei moved on. Ingvold, Momo, Caddis, Murayama, Irina, Kuroka, Lefay, support them with magic. Right. Arthur and Biku, you protect the support team. As you command, Arthur replied while Biku just nodded. You are now a striker squad, eliminate your targets or at least stall them, that is your mission, and the support squad supports the striker squad if needed. Valerica, you and I will go inside while they deal outside. We have 2 main objectives. First, save Valerie, second kill Rizavam if we are lucky enough. As I can guess you want to finish the job you started, so you will go for Rizavam, said Issei. That's right. Alright, then it's settled, we will leave in an hour. Our dragon, devil, angel, fallen, and Asgardian warriors will take care of brigade troops. Everyone please come back alive and well, Issei said. Right. Issei and Valerica went to the tent while everyone else went to prepare for the attack. Sai, I'm already tired, Issei said as he sat on a chair. It's not over yet, partner, focus on your objective, Vritra said. He's right, partner, don't relax just yet, Drake agreed. Yeah, I know. Everything will be fine, don't worry, Valerica reassured. I hope so. Valerica came up to Issei and sat on his lap and wrapped her arms around his neck. Are you going to make her our harem sister? Valerica asked as she looked him straight into the eyes. Yeah. I ask if you're gonna add her to your harem? Where did that come from? Issei asked. I accidentally found a letter that Gasper left you before his. That Issei finished. Yeah, so are you gonna? I don't know, first, we have to rescue her, Issei answered. You know, we don't mind her becoming our sister. But this is the last girl that we allow to join your harem, understood? Valerica warned with a pain-promising smile if not answered correctly. You understood, Issei replied as he shivered slightly. Good. Valerica said before kissing Issei. After 40 minutes everyone gathered outside. Alright, it's time to end this, so let's do our best and don't hesitate or you are as good as dead, Issei warned. Everyone nodded as they parted their ways, leaving Issei and Valerica alone. Well, now we have to wait for the signal, Issei said. What kind of signal? Valerica asked. Oh, once we see the signs of the start of battle, Issei replied. Oh. Stay on your guard though. They might know that we are coming and we don't know what kind of tricks they have, Issei warned. Roger that. They waited for 10 more minutes and saw a large fireball explode and light up half of the sky. Well, that's the signal. That means they engaged their targets and are distracting them, Issei said. Valerica grabbed his hand and Issei stepped into a shadow and teleported themselves towards their target. They arrived inside the castle's walls in a dark shadow, unseen by the guards. Are you ready? Issei asked. You have no idea, Valerica replied with a battle-hungry grin. Then let's go, Issei said before moving. The striker squad. Tannen, Dulio, and Thor walked through the streets to find Grendel and Ai Daka. While the support squad walked behind them. Arthur walked in front of the support squad while Biku was behind them. It's really quiet here, too quiet, Dulio spoke. I agree and I don't like this, Tannen agreed as he continued their search. A few minutes later Tannen and Thor felt danger coming from above. Barriers now. Tannen shouted. The girls immediately created a powerful barrier around everyone. As soon as they created the barrier, a loud explosion was heard. As the smokescreen disappeared, everyone saw who caused the ambush. Grendel and Ai Da Ka. Tannen growled. Grendel was a 15-meter-tall western dragon with black scales, bright silver eyes, horns, wings, and thick limbs, uniquely being a dragon who stood on his feet. He exuded a dark and ominous aura, filled with hostility and killing intent. Everyone. Be careful, Grendel is an aggressive, psychotic dragon that is only interested in fighting and killing. He is a battle maniac who loves physical combat and destroying more than anything. He enjoys pain as he is a masochist. He's master hand-to-hand combatant, Tannen warned. Last night when Issei came to Tannen to discuss the attack, Drake informed a bit more because he originally had fought them. The Ai Da Ka was a giant dragon with 3 heads and 6 giant wings. He had very dark scales with a shade of purple. The Ai Da Ka, a cruel and wicked dragon. It is also implied that he enjoys pain too. He is immensely strong as Grendel. He is a master magician. He can even use forbidden magic, Tannen warned. Understood. Take down the barrier, Tannen ordered. The girls did as ordered and deactivated the barrier. Tannen immediately shot a powerful fireball into the sky that painted it in dark orange with the flames. That's the signal. Good luck, Tannen thought before he regained his attention to their targets. Oh, look what we got here. Ha 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 ha. A bunch of weaklings laughed and insulted Ai Da Ka as he laughed wickedly. So, who is my opponent? I want to fight the strongest here. Grendel said with excitement. Today is your last, said Dulio. Oh? Such confidence from weak bugs such as you? Insulted him Ai Da Ka, but Dulio didn't react as he knew that he wanted to anger him. I and Dulio will take care of Ai Da Ka while Thor, you take on Grendel, Tannen said. Thor nodded in response to Tannen's plan. Caddis, enhance Tannen's and Dulio's powers and defenses. Ordered Ingvald. With a nod, Caddis enhanced their strength and defenses with ease, at least tenfold. So let's finally play. Grendel said with a wicked smile. Tannen and Dulio didn't say anything as they engaged in the battle. Tannen shot powerful flames to do some damage, but that barely scratched him. That tickled me, mocked Ai Da Ka. Now it's my turn, ahaha. Ai Da Ka laughed wickedly. He used his elemental magic and lightning strikes on Tannen with immense force. Tannen roared out of pain, but he stayed strong and didn't give in as he used his flames to cancel out the rest of the attack. Ahaha, how did it feel? Did you like it? Tannen didn't reply. Suddenly 4 large tornadoes came toward Ai Da Ka as he was distracted by talking with Tannen. Dulio created those tornadoes by using his sacred gear called Zenith Tempest. It's the second strongest Longinus, which allows him to manipulate the weather and elements. But Ai Da Ka countered Dulio's tornadoes with his own. Not bad, but still too weak, mocked the evil dragon. I'll have fun tearing you apart. Ai Da Ka roared as he suddenly teleported behind Tannen and Dulio, but because of Tannen's instinct, he dodged a powerful lightning attack, but Dulio wasn't so lucky. The lightning didn't hit him directly, but the rubble and shockwaves sent him flying somewhere into the distance. Dulio. Ai Da Ka didn't waste time as he used fire breath on Tannen. It hurt like hell. If Tannen wasn't a dragon that had a high resistance to fire and heat, he would have died almost instantly, but Tannen was not a pushover, a purple light shone from his body and transformed to his true form. Tannen wasted no time and grabbed the evil dragon with his claws tightly before unleashing his own immensely powerful fire breath, which seemed to work as the scales of Ai Da Ka stared to melt, but annoyingly he enjoyed the pain and kept asking for more, so Tannen sunk his claws into the flesh of the evil dragon. Lifted him into the air momentarily and just slammed the bastard into the ground, shattering at least a few bones. But suddenly he disappeared from Tannen's grasp, surprising Tannen and the support squad, but soon they found him as he began laughing again from behind the support squad. Ahaha, that was fun. But I'm getting bored already, so let's go to the next level. As he finished his words, his injuries started to heal, but as Tannen saw that happening, he immediately took flight towards the evil dragon, and as he struck Ai Da Ka, his claws went straight through as if it was an afterimage. Ahaha, can't believe you actually fell for that. Ai Da Ka laughed like a madman. Tannen growled in response and launched a few quick fireballs at the evil dragon, who just blocked them with his magic barriers, but the evil dragon wasn't done just yet as around 100 of clones manifested around them, surrounding them from all sides. This is bad, Kuroka whispered. Damn it, Caddis mumbled. How are we supposed to defeat him now? Asked Murayama. I have no idea, normally I would guess that we'd have to kill the main body, but they all feel like the real one, they even have the aura of the real one, which could mean that all of these clones have the same abilities as the real Ai Da Ka, LaFay explained in worry and fear. Then we have to defeat all of them, said Dulio, who woke up after that last blow. But how? We couldn't defeat one, how can we defeat 100 of them? Momo panicked. First we should calm down and think of a plan, Ingvald said. Ahaha, plan? I don't think you have the luxury of creating a plan. Daka laughed as a few of the clones started to attack with elemental magic. The strike squad had a hard time dealing with the attacks as their own magic was running out. Balance break. Dulio shouted and 12 golden angel wings sprung from his back and 4 halos appeared above his head. Suddenly about 15 of the clones were trapped in some kind of bubbles. Everyone watched in interest until the evil dragon clones were struck by intensely swirling flames, violent hurricanes, freezing cold air which froze everything, and vicious torrents of lightning. Those powerful attacks slowly destroyed the clones. We don't need to panic, we can deal with them if we work together, Dulio spoke. The girls nodded and prepared their own attacks such as light spears, hellfire, lightning, water torrents and so on to take down the clones. The process was slow, but with the help of Tannen and Dulio's special abilities, they were able to destroy the clones, but each time it took longer to destroy the clone because they were getting exhausted from constant need to attack and defend from all directions. About 50 clones left, but the support squad was already exhausted, except for Irina, who seemed to be still standing strong, while the rest were either on the ground passed out or trying to recover some strength. Biku was flying on a golden cloud and covered the support squad from an incoming attacks as he used Tauki to enhance his physical abilities and channeled some to his staff, which occasionally extended at the clones similarly like Sun Wukong's spear, but that was not it. He similarly like the evil dragon had clones of himself which helped the striker squad a lot, but he was getting exhausted from constant fighting like the others. After some time, only Irina was standing while the rest passed out from exhaustion. Dulio was getting tired, same with Tannen, but they pushed themselves to their very limits just like Biku, who had only 2 clones of himself still fighting. But there were still 20 of the clones left, well at least for a moment, as 20 more appeared and started attacking even harder than before. They even were able to pop the bubbles created by Dulio. They never end, what do we do? Dulio spoke between pants. Tannen didn't say anything, but he was visibly annoyed by their circumstances. Irina was throwing light spears at the clones, but weren't dealing a lot of damage. She looked around and saw still too many clones left, but something caught her attention, a large fireball flying straight at her and the girls. Irina looked at the ground and saw the girls still down. A sense of protecting everyone grew as her eyes were replaced by the same golden glow from before. Her hair turned golden too as 2 large silver wings sprung from her back. A silver halo appeared above her head. "Hi!" shouted Irina as she motioned her arm to block the arriving attack, and before the fireball made contact with Irina, holy aura glowed around her intensely and the same armor and weapons appeared on her body and managed to block the attack with the shield with ease. The intense holy energy and the golden glow brought everyone's attention, but once Dulio noticed Irina and that armor holding a shield and that greatsword, he could just blink in surprise, but once he saw her large silver angel wings, he started to grin as if they already achieved victory. What is this change in power? I thought that you're just a weak insect, but look at you, hiding such power and fun toys. Daka spoke with interest that grew into excitement. Irina didn't answer as she had a neutral expression. With a single flap of her wings she was already in the air gazing at the clones. With a flick of her gauntlets, thousands of light spears appeared behind and around her. I am the angel of judgment, the warrior of heaven, and the protector of innocent. As the judge of heaven I deem you guilty for your evil deeds. Irina declared as the spears glowed even brighter to the point of silver in color, and a loud bell ringing echoed throughout the skies, 3 times in total, before the spears launched themselves at every clone, striking every one, precisely piercing their scales as if they were nothing. The clones were quickly annihilated. Tannen and Biku watched in awe, while Dulio barely held his laughter. After thousands of years, heaven has finally chosen the suitable candidate to be its judge. Good job, Irie, Dulio spoke, but was interrupted by an enormous killing intent. Everyone looked towards the source and found the relay Daka, who was visibly angry on a building. You ruined it all. That stupid angel ruined all my fun. Now I'll kill you, you bitch. Daka roared out of rage before landing on the ground. Tannen, Biku and Dulio prepared to fight, but Dulio's 3 halos disappeared, leaving him only with 1, and his wings returned to normal white color. Tannen was injured and tired, same with Biku, but were prepared to fight until Irina landed in front of them before they could move. Step aside, Irina said in a cold, emotionless voice. The 3 flinched at her cold action but complied nonetheless. I'll kill you for ruining all of my fun and making me take this nonsense seriously, Daka growled. I deem you guilty for your evil deeds. You will be eliminated by my blade, Irina said as she pointed her sword at the evil dragon. Daka just snarled before launching a few hurricanes towards Irina, who blocked them with her shield. As she was distracted, one of Daka's heads launched at Irina, but was soon cut off by her blade, making the evil dragon bleed a lot before the head regenerated. You annoying insect. Irina's blade was painted with dark blood of the evil dragon, but that blood soon was absorbed by the sword, making it glow more as it grew in power slightly. Tannen and Ai felt the sword's aura which sent shivers down their spines. Dragon-slaying sword. Tannen questioned but did not receive an answer from Irina. She used her monster speed to dash at the evil dragon. The Ai couldn't keep up with her speed, so he just set up several barriers around himself, but it proved to be useless as she shattered the barriers with ease and cut Ai all over his body and cut off 2 of his heads. Irina backed off from him, avoiding a bite from his main head. Damn you, Ai growled as he tried to heal himself but couldn't because of the dragon's slaying properties preventing his wounds from healing. Irina stared at the dragon for a few moments before spreading her wings to the sides and flapping them towards Ai, sending silver feathers that stabbed all over his body like sharp daggers. That was a distraction that worked as expected and stabbed the evil dragon through the chest. The Ai slowly moved his claws towards Irina to grab her with his remaining strength as his vision was getting blurry, however the sword started to glow an intense golden glow, making the evil dragon, the masochist, roar out of intense pain before falling over as the sword was pulled out, making a lot of blood gush out. You killed him, you did it, you amazing angel. Dulio shouted out of excitement while Tannen and Biku nodded approvingly before picking up the girls who passed out in the fight and heading back to the camp while Irina and Dulio stayed for a chat. So you're the angel of judgment? Dulio asked as he approached Irina, whose armor and weapons disappeared after a faint golden glow. Her hair and eyes returned to normal, but her wings stayed the same, large and silver in color. I don't know why I said that, those words just came to my mind, Irina admitted. I see, you'll have to report about this to Michael, Dulio said, making Irina nod. Weren't those weapons heavy though? I mean, they seemed to be quite large yet you were able to move around with a monster speed like it was nothing, and your wings, they are huge compared to normal angel's wings, not talking about the unique color. Actually, the shield and the sword are very light, the armor is very comfortable to wear and actually enhances my speed and defense. I don't know why my wings are like that, but I like it, Irina explained. I see, well Judge, I think it's time to return to camp and rest, you look tired, Dulio said. You're not so full of energy yourself, Irina giggled before the 2 of them flew back to the camp. But Thor. So where is that insanely strong guy, the red one? Grendel asked with a battle-hungry grin. He's not here and won't be as I'm your opponent, Thor said as electricity gathered around him, especially his giant hammer. Oh? Good, a fight with a god should be entertaining, let's fight. Grendel declared before leaping at Thor. To be continued. Chapter 23. So where is that insanely strong guy, the red one? Grendel asked with a battle-hungry grin. He's not here and won't be as I'm your opponent, Thor said as electricity gathered around him, especially his giant hammer as menacing aura surrounded Thor. Oh? Good, a fight with a god should be entertaining, let's fight. Grendel declared before leaping at Thor. The evil dragon was about to punch Thor with a huge amount of force, but Thor just moved to the side, allowing Grendel to punch the ground where the god of thunder once stood, making the ground shatter from the impact. Thor just looked at Grendel with disinterest before swinging his hammer at the evil dragon's head, sending him at high speed through a building. But it didn't take long for Grendel to get out of the rubble. That felt good. Let's try again. Grendel roared excited before he jumped right back at Thor and punching him away into another building, making it crumble. As the dust covered the area, Grendel waited with excitement that kept growing each second of the battle. Just seconds later Thor walked out of the rubble unscratched with a stoic expression and electricity gathering around him and his hammer. Wasting no time, Grendel launched himself at Thor with immense speed and cocked his right fist before releasing it at the god of thunder with much force behind it. But Thor was unfazed. He has tasted what Grendel was capable of and was dissatisfied and deeply disappointed. He has heard a lot of rumors about the evil dragons and their immense power, their insanity and psychotic nature, especially their battle-maniac tendencies. Thor had hoped that at least Grendel, Berserker Dragon of Great Sin, would match up to him, who was a huge battle maniac. Not even Valerica held a candle to the god of thunder, but with that terrible disappointment, Thor decided to finish this quickly. As Grendel was about to connect his fist with Thor, he failed to do so when Thor blocked the attack with Mjolnir. Grendel followed up with another fist at the hammer, hoping to crumble Thor's defense, but as the ground began to crack beneath Thor's feet, Grendel realized that he wouldn't be able to do so in such position. But before Grendel could back off, Thor pushed the evil dragon's claws to the sides before striking Grendel with divine lightning charged Mjolnir, injuring the evil dragon in the process as he was smashed against the ground. Damn, that was a good one, you truly are a monstrous god that many fears, so show me more of what I'll enjoy, Grendel spoke as he got back up, only to see Thor arching his back while divine lighting grew stronger around the hammer. Grendel watched in interest at the bizarre stance before feeling an enormous amount of power gathering in the hammer. Grendel was too late to realize the mistake of standing around and letting Thor charge a powerful attack that he knew he wouldn't survive taking it directly, or at least he'd be very injured. Thor moved with blinding speed as he launched his attack at Grendel and slammed his hammer at Grendel as blue lightning bolt engulfed him. After several moments the lightning bolt disappeared, dust covered the area, Thor lifted his hammer making the dust go away and revealed Grendel severely injured in a large and deep crater laying, bleeding in several places, but most importantly, he was missing his left arm. Thor turned around and started to walk away, but sensed something coming behind him, and as he turned around Grendel had struck Thor sending him in the air as his hammer slipped from Thor's grasp. Grendel didn't stop there and flew right behind Thor, with his jaws open as if he was about to swallow the god, but instead of that a faint glow emerged from Grendel's throat before a large and powerful flame emerged into the light and engulfed Thor's entire body. Right after that, Grendel slapped Thor back with immense amount of force into the ground with his tail, hoping to damage the god as much as he could. It wasn't as fun as Grendel expected, fighting this god was not a good idea, he already lost a limb and was severely injured from Thor's last attack. Damn it, I have to retreat, otherwise I'm as good as dead. But before Grendel could fly away, Mjolnir flew at him at high speed, slamming into the evil dragon's wing, separating it from its body. This time it definitely wasn't pleasant as Grendel let out a pained roar, even if he was an evil dragon, before falling as he couldn't be airborne any longer with one wing alone. As Grendel slammed into a building destroying it in the process, Thor watched it happen before grabbing the hammer that returned to the ground no later than Grendel did. As Thor approached Grendel who was glaring at Thor for injuring him and preventing him from escaping, he charged a hammer once again much to Grendel's horror. He tried to get away, but his body wasn't listening to him, he stood there frozen in actual fear as Thor approached with his menacing aura about to finish the evil dragon's life. But Grendel couldn't accept this, not this, if he was going down then he'll at least leave a nasty wound on Thor. Grendel glared at Thor who was still charging the attack with his back arched, Beer summoning his flames once again, but they were different, they were stronger by a lot, they were darker and more sinister, as even his dark and cold aura started to manifest and fuse with the flames. In a flash, both opponents released their charged attacks at one another, making the whole area engulfed in a bright light as the buildings and the ground was destroyed from the powerful attacks. But as that was over, only Thor was remaining to stand with a small burn on his cheek and his chest slightly bleeding. Without saying anything, Thor put his hammer on his shoulder and just walked away leaving an even larger crater with remains of what was once the evil dragon, Grendel. The evil angel, fallen, Norse and dragon forces managed to eliminate most of Chaos Brigade's troops, with some deaths and injuries, except for dragons who were at most injured by dragon slayers. Time skip. Back at the camp everyone was dealing with the injured ones and resting after the tough mission, some already returned home, but as for Issei, he went for a breather after the mission as it wasn't entirely successful. Only later after cooling his head he returned to air tent and saw Tannen outside the tent waiting. How was the fight? Issei asked. It was tough, I had quite the time there, but after the clones started to manifest I had to change gears and even break my limits just to stay alive, it did help me grow in power though, but the star of the battle was your angel, she destroyed the clones and the original body, Tannen replied. Issei was proud to hear that Irina was such a help, but something else was in his mind right now, how is she? Issei asked with a great amount of concern. She's awake but really weak, she will not survive for another day because her sacred gear was stolen, Tannen explained. Issei's eyes widened from shock. He just saved her but he was too late. I'll go see her, Issei said before entering the tent. As he entered he saw a beautiful girl with short blonde hair laying in the bed barely breathing and pale as snow. The sight hurt Issei. Ice. Valerie called out as her gaze slowly reached Issei. Issei came over to her and sat on the chair beside the bed before leaning towards her and grabbing her hands. As Valerie looked into his eyes she saw a lot of sadness and disappointment. I'm so sorry, I couldn't do anything, I'm too late, I'm useless, Issei apologized as he shut his eyes tightly. Valerie took one hand out of Issei's grasp and put it on his cheek, making his eyes open upon feeling her now barely warm hand before looking into her beautiful red ones. You are not useless, you did all you could, and I'm glad I met you even if we didn't interact much. Gasper told me a lot about you, how brave, caring, strong, and supportive big brother you were to him. I started to like you more and more each day, until I realized that I started to love you, Issei, Valerie said weakly. Issei continued to stare into her eyes not knowing what to say, nor do as guilt kept growing inside him. Partner, there's a way to save her, Drake spoke out loud as a green circle shone on the back of Issei's palm, shocking both Issei and Valerie. Really? What do I have to do? Issei asked with hope in his voice. You have to mate with her and make a connection to your life force, Drake said. But instead of normal mating and making connection by sex, you have to give her your blood to drink, but once the connection is made she won't be fully out of trouble, she will start consuming the new life force until she gets her sacred gear back or a replacement, Drake explained. Okay, do you really want to? Issei asked, still looking at Valerie. Yes, I still don't want to die and I want to stay by your side for as long as I can, Valerie answered with a warm smile. Alright, Issei said before biting his tongue and gathering blood in his mouth. He slowly leaned toward Valerie and kissed her as the blood entered her mouth and down her throat. As they parted, a red dragon mark appeared on her collarbone before disappearing. Valerie suddenly fell asleep and Issei felt really dizzy as his vision started to get blurry. Greg, what's going on? Issei asked before falling asleep on Valerie's stomach. That was a really dangerous ritual, I knew you'd do it anyway, now you either wake up or die, Drake said to no one in particular, but Valerica outside the tent heard it all. She burst into the tent with raging eyes. Why did you let him do this, Drake? Why did you let him put his life on the line? Valerica shouted as she ran up to Issei. Valerica, calm down, you know yourself that he would have done it anyways if Drake would have warned him, Albion spoke, trying to calm down his partner. But he might die. Valerica, calm down for office's sake. Drake roared. You know yourself that he's very much capable of doing impossible possible, for example when he fused Albion's soul fragment with polar opposite powers that should have killed him. When the three factions made peace because of Issei. When he survived Juggernaut Drive twice combined with Dragonfall Curse, when he fought opponents that were stronger than him or managed to get immensely strong and obtain powerful abilities in just 2 months. And those are just some of his great achievements. Just have faith in him and everything will turn out just fine. He's right, Valerica, just have faith, Albion spoke. Valerica only nodded before leaving the tent, but not before giving a kiss on his forehead to meet up with her team. Time skip. 1 day has passed, but Issei still hasn't woken up, nor Valerie. This made the girls very worried. Right now all of the girls are in the same room as the sleeping Issei and Valerie. They both have been brought back to the house. The girls have been watching over them the whole time to make sure everything's alright. Suddenly a magic circle appeared that looked like Grigori's magic circle. Out of it came Azazel, but he looked different, he always looked carefree and laid back, but right now he had a serious face and looked a bit stressed and even scared. What's wrong, Azazel? Valerica asked with worry. Trihexa is unsealed, we were doing everything in our power to prevent it, but we were too late, Azazel said. The room got quiet. Everyone had their eyes widened from shock and extreme worry. Did Rizavim do it? Ingvald was the first to speak. Yes, but we don't know where he is, Azazel answered. But why? Irina asked. He released a beast in hopes of controlling it, but his plans seemingly failed at the last moment, so he fled somewhere before anyone could catch him, Azazel explained. That's not good, Issei is still knocked out cold, Momo said. What do we do? Murayama asked. We need as much help as we can get to create a powerful barrier to hold Trihexa and stall for time and hope for Issei's awakening, Azazel said. Alright, we'll help, Kata said. Everyone stood up and kissed Issei on his cheeks or forehead and left via magic circles. As they arrived at the scene they saw a giant dome barrier that was shaking from the pressure that was inside of it. Then they saw a bunch of people there that were keeping the barrier up. They saw Michael, Serziches, Azazel, Yusaka, Sun Wukong, Odin, Tannen, Krom Kruich, and even Greek gods such as Zeus, Artemis and others. They saw Shiva there too, Orc, Student Council, Valerica's team, and many more. Soon they joined in to help out too. Welcome to our doom, brats, Odin said as he looked at the new arrivers. Well, we aren't doomed yet, Azazel spoke. But where's Issei? Michael asked in worry. He's still knocked out, Tiamat revealed the bad news. But bad timing, Odin mumbled. Let's hope he'll come back just in time, Michael said before redirecting his attention back to the barrier. Inside the barrier, the beast was slowly walking in a random direction to find something to destroy. He saw a barrier's edge in the distance, so it shot a powerful black fireball at the barrier, but it didn't destroy it. It just cracked a lot but regenerated right back up. He then started to attack non-stop. He's trying to destroy the barrier. Michael shouted. Everyone concentrated on keeping the barrier up and hoped for their savior's arrival, but then noticed someone get inside the barrier through a small crack at sliding speed. The same redhead, god of thunder with his giant hammer, went to fight the beast and quench his thirst for battle. In the apartment, Issei and Valerie were still asleep, but Issei's expression was stressed as a thin layer of sweat covered his body, he was having another nightmare. This one was even worse as he saw everything getting destroyed by some kind of monster that had the appearance of a large beast with characteristics coming from different animals like a lion, a leopard, a bear, a dragon, etc. It had 7 necks, 7 heads, 10 horns, as well as 7 long thick tails of different shapes. It also had 4 stout arms and 2 legs that are even thicker than its arms. Its main body is that of a primate leaning forward and was covered in black fur and what appears to be scales all over its body. The monster was giant, bigger than Great Red himself. Bodies, or at least what remained of them, were everywhere, of dragons, devils, fallen, angels, yokai, humans, and animals, even gods, as the monster was destroying heaven, underwood and the human world altogether. "Come on, partner, I know you can do it. Don't give up," Drake said outside Issei's nightmare, as he couldn't see this one for some reason. In the nightmare, Issei was trying to fight the monster, even though he was the only one left alive, or so he thought. "I'll kill you," Issei roared before using a powerful dragon shot combined with some of the great abilities of other dragons. It barely did any damage, and if that wasn't bad enough, the monster regenerated right back up and continued to destroy everything in its path. As he was about to attack again, he saw someone in the corner of his eye. "Valerie, what are you doing here? It's dangerous here, get out of here," Issei shouted, as he didn't want the last person that was important to him die. "Issei," Valerie screamed as she ran up to him before immediately hugging him with all the force and love she had. She was glad to see him, but she was terrified of the sight of everyone's lifeless bodies everywhere, and the monster alone was overwhelming for her. "I'm scared," Valerie cried as she hugged him tighter with tears dripping on his chest. "It's alright, I'll protect you no matter what, I promise, you'll be just fine," Issei said as he stroked her hair gently. She calmed down for a bit and looked into his crimson red eyes, and he looked into her scarlet red eyes. "No matter what happens, I'll always love you," Valerie admitted. "I'll always love you too," Issei replied with a warm and gentle voice. Valerie smiled brightly, and they kissed passionately, proving their love, but after the kiss, Valerie got enveloped in bright light and vanished as if she wasn't there in the first place. "Valerie," Issei called for her weakly as he tried to reach for her. Real world. Outside the nightmare, Valerie opened her eyes, looked around, and saw that she was in an unfamiliar room in the same bed as Issei, making her blush slightly. "What's going on?" Valerie asked. "So the bonding was successful?" a powerful voice spoke. "Who's talking?" Valerie asked, confused as she looked around the room but saw nothing. "It's me, the Welsh dragon Drake. The last time I talked in your presence was when Issei did this dangerous stunt," Drake answered. "Stunt?" Valerie asked with apparent concern. "This bonding process was really dangerous, you both could have died, but here you are alive and kicking, but Issei isn't waking up," Drake explained, worried slightly. "Is he alright?" Valerie asked as fear of losing Issei started to grow. "Yes, at least for now, but don't worry, he will be fine, it's his second nature for him to do impossible stuff possible," Drake said with extreme confidence. "If you say so." Back in the nightmare, Issei was standing in the middle of nowhere for what seemed like hours, only a large black tower barely visible was standing far in the distance. Issei wondered what that was all about but was brought out of his stupor as a bright golden light flashed in front of him, blinding him for a few seconds and revealed his companions behind him. "Drake, guys, I'm so glad to see you," Issei said with clear happiness and relief, clearly he was stressed after the visions he saw. "We are glad to see you too," Drake responded while the others nodded. Suddenly Drake, Al, and Vritra started to growl with killing intent as they looked behind Issei. Issei looked where they were looking and saw a man standing with a spear that Issei took from Cao Cao. He had 12 golden feather wings and a golden halo above his head. "It's been a while, hasn't it, God of the Bible?" Drake growled, much to Issei's shock. "Yes, it has, old friend. We aren't friends and you know that, you backstabbing bastard," Drake growled out as Al and Vritra hissed at the amused god while the rest just stared at the unfolding scene. Now Drake, you wound me, I thought you trusted me. You lost all of mine and Albion's trust when you went behind our backs and sealed us near the end of our battle. If you wanted to fight, why didn't you ask us forefront? Were you too scared of our power?" Drake asked back with evident anger. "No, it was due to a greater reason. One that I could not have shared at that time," God said with a sad sigh. Before Drake could reply, Issei cut in and said. "So that means that you are finally going to tell him the reason now that you are here?" "That's right, I am here to come clean about my actions from a millennia ago." "I am not going to waste my time on his explanation," Drake growled out, irritated. "Come on Drake, let's hear the old man out. It won't take us too long," Issei said as Drake huffed a bit before nodding. "Now please explain," Issei said as he crossed his arms and turned to the god as he leaned his body back into Drake's scales. "Very well. It all started with a prophecy," God said as he began the tale of a very controversial but true story. "Prophecy?" Issei asked with an expression of intrigue on his face. "Yes. Why do you think I suddenly decided to stop the First Great War and leave my children alone? Do you think I enjoyed that?" God said with a little anger seeping into his voice. "Chill out, it's not partner's fault, so keep your anger to yourself. Also, get on with your story, we don't have all day," Drake cut in. "Fine, then here's what happened," God of the Bible said as he explained the prophecy. Near the end of the Great War 2000 years ago. I had a vision. The beast of annihilation would appear upon this world and would fight the dragon of dreams in a fight that would render the end of life as a whole. This vision in itself had me worried as hell, and I had a plan in place to get the leaders and all fathers of the other factions into a temporary alliance and then combat the beast of annihilation at the end of the earth before destroying it, God said before pausing a little bit. This beast of annihilation as you called it, what is it? Issei asked curiously before he became confused as he heard the hissing of his partners and saw the darkening of God's eyes. That beast is the most horrific thing to ever exist. It is easily stronger than Office and is equivalent to Great Red. Appearance-wise it is a six-headed monster, that's all I can and will say. It is called Dreamfiction 666. You saw it before talking with me, I showed you my vision. Anyway, before I could implement that plan I had another premonition. It showed me the coming of Life Savior. A man who would, despite the challenges and betrayals in his life, would come out on top to save everyone. He would have the power of dragons by his side and would then beat Dreamfiction. God once again stopped letting the current information sink in. So what I saw not too long ago was Dreamfiction, thought Issei as chills ran down his spine. Taking the silence as a cue for the asking some questions, Issei spoke up. So all of your plans changed to what actually caused the end of the Great War. Right in one. I abandoned my original plan and set on making my new. When the plan was done all I had to do was ensure that all the pieces were in place. The first step was to befriend both Drake and Albion. When it was done I decided to create the Sacred Gear system. Creating the ordinary sacred gears was easy enough, but their power was limited, so I had to look for other sources of power for the gears, God said, before seeing the question in Issei's eyes. That's how most of the longiness came into play, isn't it? Issei said as he sucked in a breath. God's face broke into a dry grin. Why aren't you the smart one? You deduced correctly. I created the longiness gears. Well, people do consider them to be bugs in the system, they are wrong, the 13 longiness are unique and one of their kind. Other gears may come close to their basic, but will never match the complete power of the longiness gears. I knew that the ordinary way of creation would work, so I started searching for alternate sources of power to use for each of the gears. He finished taking in a little breath and waited to see if Issei, like earlier, would connect the dots himself. So you searched for alternate sources of magic, or in other words, sentient souls, powerful spells, objects and curses, Issei deduced, making God nod. Damn kid, you have got a great head on your shoulders. As you said, I did begin searching for the aforementioned sources of magic, and I did find them. My first find was the Eye of Horus that could control the weather. It was used to create the Zenith Tempest. Following that, I found a powerful spell, Dimension Lost, and a cursed Telo's Karma. As you may have guessed, their namesakes became the gears. The next thing that I used was my battle inspiration and sight to create innovative clear. The next thing that I did find was the innate inborn ability from one of my followers, the ability to create monsters. I took away his ability before strengthening it numerous times before using it to create the Annihilation Maker, explained God, before drawing in a breath. That explains 5 of the gears, not the remaining ones, Issei pointed out. I am getting to that, impatient brat. Damn brats of today have no respect for their elders. Anyway, the next thing to seal was a little bit of my sentient and my holy flames for the Incinerate Anthem before I sealed the strongest ice demon of the time for the Absolute Demise gear. Now the next 2 gears were the easiest to create. Both the Nemean Lion and the high-level Yaokai for the Regulus Nemea and the Cyanus Lycaon. Now here comes the hard part. Well, the creation of these gears took several years and everything was going fine, if not a little slow. That was when things took a turn for the worst. Dreamfiction had started to move and I had a little time to do the things that needed to be done. So I called for help in the form of my oldest son, Lucifer, God said. Wait a minute, stop right there. Didn't Lucifer hate you? Issei asked with slight shock. Oh, he hated me, all right. I did a lot of things that I am not proud of, and among them on the top were my actions that led to my son leaving me and starting his own faction. Anyway, I called Lucifer and the rest of the 4 Mu and explained everything to them. They agreed to help since it was a question about the future. Before I left I had Drake and Albion start their final battle. As they battled, I and the 4 Mass went towards Dreamfiction and used our bodies and magic to seal it. The seals were strong, they would have held on for at least several eons. However, Dreamfiction's power was unprecedented and the seals began weakening at a faster rate than expected, but the rate still gave life for at least several thousand years. But the sealing done, I called for Saint Longinus and the 2 of us left towards the 2 heavenly dragons who after their long battle were exhausted. Then, as you know, I sealed the 2 of them into their claw and wings respectively, thereby creating the boosted gear and the divine dividing. However, the last sealing and the lack of my magic left me with just my will and consciousness. As you know, my consciousness came here while Saint Longinus sealed his power along with my will to create that spear you took, explained God. That was an enlightening history lesson, old man, but it doesn't explain why you brought partner here, Drake cut in with a rumble. I'm getting there, old friend. Don't get your panties in a twist. As I was losing my consciousness, I saw the figure of a man having my spear and the power of the dragons by his side taking the fight to Trihiksa. And I believe that you are the one that I saw in my last vision, God said as a stunned silence entered the plane. Now then, it seems that you are finally calm. Does this mean you are ready and have agreed to accept your role in this prophecy? God asked Issei. Meh, I don't believe in prophecies, they are a load of bull. I will continue on my path, beat all those who threaten me and loved ones, Issei said with a shrug. Well, that is the best I can get out of you. Now then, all we do is find whether or not you'll be able to use the true Longinus. God said. Oh, and how will we do that? Issei asked curiously. Simple, we fight, God said, as if it was the most simple thing ever. What? Issei shouted out in shock. Isn't it obvious? We fight. If I deem you worthy, you get the spear. If not, you go back empty-handed into the thick of things, God said with a nonchalant shrug. You really are a douchebag, you know that, right? Issei asked with a deadpan expression. Trust me, those were the exact words my oldest son Lucifer said to me. So it's nothing new, God said as he lightly tensed his body. To be continued. Chapter 25. God of the Bible and Issei were locked in a fierce battle with God, showing Issei why he was known as the God of the Bible. Despite him only being an image of himself, he was able to beat back Issei in his regular balance breaker without much difficulty. Damn, old man, you hit very hard, Issei said as he lightly rubbed his forearm. It was slightly numb due to the force of the punch that Issei had blocked. So tell me, how exactly do I need to prove myself to you? Because asking me to outright defeat you is impossible without the use of my Heavenly Dragon King balance breaker, even with that might be hard, Issei asked with a tilt of his head. Well, now that you are sufficiently warmed up, here is your task. You will have to find a way to disarm me, God said as he waved the true Longinus in front of Issei. Nodding, Issei opened his pocket dimension and took out 3 swords, Tia, Shadow Curse, and Crimson Rose. Flashback. Dear Issei, since Ascalon was destroyed, I figured I should return something that is rightfully Securites, Gabriel said before handing him a sword of carmine and silver. From its red pommel stems a knuckle guard resembling vines of thorns, these vines wrapping around the cross guard and even the upper portion of the blade. The hilt was of pure silver with crisscross designs. A rosebud stuck out from in between the pommel and hilt, with 3 more roses in full bloom, appeared at the center of its guard. The blade's cross-section was broad, fuller, and its flat was decorated with the carmine color filled with an engraved pattern of roses. Its scabbard was also full carmine in color, the insides being silver, and also had intricate designs of roses. The sword was emitting a heavy and powerful dominating aura. That's Crimson Rose. No one can wield it as it's made from drake scales. Only those who have boosted gear can use it. It's been said that this sword is stronger than Durandal itself, Gabriel explained with a warm smile. Thank you for this wonderful gift, Issei thanked with a warm smile in return before taking the sword and putting it in the pocket dimension. Flashback. Issei, I have a present for you, Tiamat spoke. Oh, what is it? Issei asked with curiosity shining in his eyes. Tiamat then took out a blade that was covered entirely by ice from an enchantment given to it from her strong ice magic, giving it more power. The blade itself without the ice was an extremely sharp longsword, but with the ice it adds frost damage, making it more effective in combat. I made you a sword. It still doesn't have a name, so I decided that you should give it one, Tiamat said as she handed him the beautiful sword. Whoa, thank you, it looks amazing, and for the name, how about Tia? Tiamat blushed but nodded nonetheless before Issei gave her a big and long and loving kiss as a thank you. Flashback. Partner, I know a powerful sword that could help you, Vritra spoke interrupting Issei's training. Oh? What is it? Issei asked intrigued. It's a sword made with my powers called Shadow Curse. It is really powerful and durable, it can curse anything and anyone, plus it will help you train and master your shadow powers. I suggest you go to my old secret cave and take it, but just the sword, nothing else, Vritra explained. Alright, thanks, bud. No problem, partner. Flashback end. Issei held Shadow Curse, which was a completely black sword, and Crimson Rose in his hands, while he had his balance breaker tail wrapped tightly around Tia's hilt. God raised an eyebrow at the weird stance that Issei took but said nothing. Issei, however, was mentally creating the best combo possible for him to disarm his opponent. Finally narrowing his moves down to 3 different combos, he made his move. Issei then sped forward before swiping down both Crimson Rose and Shadow Curse repeatedly with an occasional 3-stroke attack whenever he involved Tia. The random attacks kept God on the back foot as he wasn't able to guess or even read where the next attack was coming from. Issei after a few moments added a new move to his assault as he started making diagonal and horizontal slashes in addition to his previous downward slashes. He was now beginning to push God back, who now could not hope to just keep blocking and was occasionally dodging an errant swipe that he could not block. Sensing his opponent's discomfort, Issei decided to speed up things once more as he added upward swipes using Tia, all the while adding simultaneous errant strikes with Crimson Rose and Shadow Curse. When God was finally pushed into a corner, Issei used all three of his swords and attacked from three different angles. One downward strike, one upward strike and one diagonal one. The combination forced God to keep the true longinus horizontally before the force of the third swipe forced it to fly out of his hands into the air. Issei then jumped up and used his tail to nick the spear out of the air before God could reclaim it and landed on the ground. He looked up to see a clapping and smiling God who said, "Well, looks like you pass. So now what?" Issei asked as he eyed the true longinus in his hand after putting the swords back into the pocket dimension. "Well, now the only thing left is giving you my knowledge on how to use that spear," the best God said. "Oh, and how are you going to do that?" Issei curiously asked. "Like this," God replied before he placed his finger on Issei's head and transferred the knowledge to him. In mere moments Issei was on the ground gritting his teeth as a headache erupted in his head thanks to the influx of information. "Don't do that again, old man." Issei grunted as he unsteadily got back on his feet. "Well, now that everything is set I'll send you back to the real world." "Wait." Issei suddenly interrupted the God, making him raise an eyebrow. "Where are we anyways?" Issei asked. "Can't figure it out." "We're in the depths of your soul, in the deepest parts, more accurately," God replied. "Why is it so dark here? Aren't souls supposed to be bright?" unless asked Issei in confusion and slight fear. God remained silent as he eyed Issei before speaking. "See that tower behind you? That's not a good sign. Your fate is cursed just because you have it, but if the need arrives and you climb up that, be careful and don't succumb to corruption," God said with very serious voice as he glared at the tower, as if it's the worst thing possible. Issei stared at the tower as cold chills kept attacking his very being. He had a bad feeling coming from that tower. After several moments of silence, God spoke again. "Tell Gabriel that I'm sorry for not spending time with her as a father should, and by the way, these nightmares you were having all the time will end," God said. "Alright, thank you, old man, and I'll tell Gabriel your message," Issei said before disappearing. "I'm sorry, young one, but this is just a beginning. I hope that you will overcome your trials," God said to himself as he started at the Tower of Darkness. "Real world. Well, that was the weirdest thing to ever happen to me," Issei spoke out loud. He looked around and right at that moment, Valerie came inside the room with a plate of homemade food. "Hey Valerie, what do you have there?" "It smells really good," Issei said. "I made you some lunch while you were asleep," Valerie said shyly. "Hey, how are you feeling?" Issei asked out of concern. "I'm feeling really good actually, and a bit more powerful, probably because of dragon's blood. How about you?" Valerie spoke as she sat down beside him. "I'm fine, but soon I'll have to do a really serious job that might not end well for me," Issei said with a sigh. "What job?" Valerie asked, scared of his answer. "Ah. That's right, I forgot that you don't know about it. I have to kill Trihexa, the imperial beast of apocalypse," Issei said with a sour smile. Valerie's eyes widened and were about to pop out of her skull before she screamed. "What? But you can't." "Sorry, but I have to if I want to protect everyone," Issei spoke. Valerie just looked at the meal with a saddened expression close to tears. "It'll be fine now, how about we eat?" Issei suggested before kissing her cheek. Valerie nodded and both of them ate their lunch in peace. Small time skip. "Greg, how long till I recover my power after that bonding?" Issei asked. "About 2 more hours, if any earlier than that then you'll surely die trying to kill the beast," Drake answered. "Sigh, if it gets out of control I might just have to get there early and sacrifice myself," Issei said bitterly. "That might be true, partner, but don't forget that I'm with you all the way," Drake said with confidence. "Yeah, thanks, partner." Small time skip. "Issei, are you awake yet?" Albion spoke through a communication link. "Yes, Albion, I am," Issei answered. "Good, you have to come here immediately. We can't hold the barrier any longer, we are exhausted, and Thor, Shiva and Krom Kruich can't hold off the beast any longer." "Alright, I'll be there in a minute," Issei said with a bitter smile before cutting the link. "Sigh, so 1 hour too early, guess I'll die today," Issei said jokingly. "Be what?" Valerie shouted as she stood behind Issei. "Oh, didn't see you here," Issei spoke. "Be will what?" Valerie asked angrier. "There's a high chance, even higher than it should have been, because I'm still not recovered fully and they can't hold the beast any longer," Issei explained, not daring to look into her heartbroken teary eyes. Valerie wasted no time and hugged him. "You have to come back. I won't let you die just when I got the chance to be with you. Promise you'll come back." Valerie begged as she cried into his chest. Issei didn't know what to do so he just did as she asked. I promise, Issei promised before kissing her. When they parted, Issei gave her one last smile before leaving via magic circle. They appeared on a cliff and looked around only to see a bunch of people holding the barrier. A lot of them were passed out, only the strongest remained, but even they had a lot of trouble. But what caught his attention was Thor, Shiva and Krom Kruich gravely injured. Look who decided to show up. Azazel shouted from afar, a little annoyed after spotting Issei. Shut your mouth, you perverted crow, Issei growled back. Gabriel, Issei called out. Yeah? Believe it or not, I talked to your father and he said he regrets not spending as much time as he should have been with you, but it all was because of Trihixa. He had to think of a solution, so don't be too hard on the old man, he loved you and still does. Gabriel went into tears hearing his words and hugged Issei. How many girls will you make cry today, Issei? Going for a record or something? Drag mocked Issei. Shut it. Thank you, Gabriel thanked before releasing Issei from the hug. Issei, a quiet voice called out that barely anyone heard, but Issei heard it loud and clear. Issei turned around and saw Riaz, Akeno, Zenobia and Kaneko. Issei stared dead in the eyes of Riaz in silence. Issei, we wanted to apologize for our actions, we should have controlled ourselves, Riaz spoke. Please forgive us, Issei, I know that what we did was horrible and disgusting, but please find it in your heart to forgive us, Akeno was the next to speak. Issei, look girls, what you did was truly heartbreaking, but you were drunk and had no idea what you were doing, it's partly my fault, maybe if I stayed I could have prevented this from happening, Issei spoke as the bad memories started to return. Please Issei, we understand what we did was horrible, but we love you. We want you to return to us please, Zenobia begged. Sorry, but you still did it, you enjoyed it, and you broke me, shattered my heart, and that was the moment all the love, all the appreciation that I had for you died together. The old me, I'm sorry, but we won't have the same relationship we had previously, the most we could be is friends, but no more, even that will be hard, Issei spoke as his voice was dead serious, in fact quite dead. Riaz and the girls stared at Issei in disbelief, but understood what he was saying, that was it, the end of their possible future together. The girls started to cry after falling to their knees as all of their suffering was visible to all, but Issei seemed unfazed by that, but internally he was all messed up. He was the luckiest and happiest man having the girls with him until that night, he had it all, they had thought of the future, but that future will never come. I think it's a record, Drake said, though a mental link. Issei about to say something, but a certain crow was getting impatient. Just go and do your fucking job. Azazel shouted. Yeah, whatever you say, you annoying crow, Issei replied with a tick mark. Balance breaker. Welsh dragon balance breaker. Alright, open an entrance for me, Issei ordered. You got it, Azazel replied before opening a big enough hole for Issei to fly through. Jet. Called out Issei, and with a flap of his wings, he flew straight through the hole before it closed. The moment he got inside he felt sick and uneasy, the killing intent and desire for destruction overwhelmed Issei a bit, but he shrugged it off. He flew for a minute and got close enough to the beast, which was releasing a lot of dark aura. It was just like he saw in his dream, ugly and monstrous, try a fearful sight. Eyes, you ready? I am partner, I already told you that I lend you my powers for everything you need, Vritra spoke. I'm with you, Issei. Hi, you know, Issei, Welsh Krom Kruich said. Sure, let's just get over with this already, Yulong said impatiently. I'm always ready, darling, Tiamat said with a warm and calming voice. Let's do this. I want to sniff more panties, Hafner said. I'm with you, Al said. I stand by your side, Tannen said. I just want to sleep, Midgardsormr muttered. I'm all the way with you, partner, let's show that beast the wrath of the heavenly dragon king. Drag roared. Issei smirked at the answers of the dragons. Alright then, let's do this. Issei shouted as he flared his aura to its limits. That action attracted Trihixa's attention almost instantly. Issei and his companions started to chant together. We who shall awaken. We are the souls who bring fear to our foes. We shall become the heavenly dragon king and protect the world. We, who will destroy you. We, who will bring you to your doom. You shall perish as we unleash our rage. Fear the mighty dragons and beckon from this world. Heavenly Dragon King outrage. His armor stayed the same, but the power that Issei was emitting made everything shake and crack. Trihixa felt he was a threat and wanted to get rid of him, destroy him. He started to move towards Issei. He was far enough from Issei so he had some time to prepare. Issei summoned his spear and prepared his move, but Trihixa got too close, so Issei had to use some extra power. Shadow chains of Vritra. Issei roared. Black chains wrapped around Trihixa and his legs that kept him in place as it tried to break out. I need to finish this fast, I'm already getting tired, Issei said before pointing his spear at the monster. The spear of God, lend me your power. Let me, the heavenly dragon king, win this battle. I shall destroy all evil. And save the world from its doom. Roared Issei as the holy aura was flaring all around the spear and Issei himself. Hurry up Issei, you don't have much time left. Vritra warned, but just as Vritra warned him Trahixa broke out from the chains. Office now. Out of nowhere Office appeared and used her snakes to bind Trahixa in place. Holy evil eraser. Issei roared and a strong draconic and holy aura shot out of the spear straight at Trahixa, hitting it. Trahixa screeched in pain as it tried to block the beam. Dragons within me, lend me your power for the last time and help me defeat my foe, Issei roared. Suddenly black, red, light blue, dark purple, light purple, green, and violet pink draconic energies came out of the spear too, hitting the beast, but it still didn't do the job. It's draining me, Issei said as he could barely continue the attack. Suddenly Issei's aura turned pitch black, shocking Issei and the souls inside him, but before Issei could question he felt his energy return and his aura returned to normal. But it still wasn't enough. Everyone unleash all of your power. You idiot, if we do that you will lose the last humanity you have left, and to regain the human form you'll have to train for at least 3 years. Drag roared back. That doesn't matter anymore. If we won't kill the beast we will die anyways. Issei argued. Drag and the others stayed silent, but after a minute everyone agreed to do it and they unleashed their full powers. Trahixa screeched in so much agony, but it still didn't work, the beast's regeneration was that powerful. Damn it, what to do, Issei said to himself before an idea poked in his head. Penetrate. Roared Issei, and as soon as he said those words the death beam went straight through Trahixa, destroying its body. Yes, we did it. Issei roared in victory. Out of nowhere the spear and his armor broke and shattered. Most of the holy energy went into Issei's body after it exploded massively from the spear and finished destroying the barrier, and several orbs came out of him. He immediately understood what it meant. The gear's seals were removed. All of the souls returned to their bodies, only red and dark purple stayed. Issei couldn't hold himself in the air anymore with his wings and he started to fall, and before everything went black, he heard some shouts and cries from afar. In a dream world, Issei was in a dark void, unable to move, just hear and see, questioning what was going on mentally until he heard a deep and powerful voice. Young one, it's not over, you shall face many more challenges and suffer a lot of pain, I hope you'll prepare yourself for what's to come. But the leaders. Sererg, Saji, Kiba. Screamed Riaz and some others. Once Issei killed the beast in some areas the holy energy blasted through people and the unlucky ones got either wounded or even killed from intense holy energy that came from the inside of the barrier, and the few unlucky ones were Sererg, Saji and Kiba, they were burning from the holy energy as they screamed out of pain. They were devils after all. Sererg and Saji died a painful death while Rizer got lucky enough just to get his one arm burned while he lost the other one, and because of the holy energy he couldn't heal anymore. Kiba had his left arm and face burned from the holy energy, but he was still alive. That's karma, thought some people such as Azazel, Sona, and Issei's girls. Riaz cried as she lost her cousin, while Irina, Ingvild and Tsubaki helped to passed out Kiba and teleported to the Citri hospital. Sona and her peerage didn't react to Saji's death. The beast was killed, people returned to their homes and take a long rest. The girls were about to leave too until Valerica suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Ingvild asked. Valerica didn't say anything as she hastily turned around and saw someone she hoped to find for a long time. The girls turned to look where Valerica was looking and saw a middle-aged man in his 40s with dark silver hair and hazel eyes. He looked much like Valerica. To some of the girls, it seemed that he possessed a bottomless and creepy aura around his body. He wore the same Mao Lucifer attire as Surzich's, although colored in silver, and had his 12 devil wings full on display. Hello, Valerica, glad to see my granddaughter after so many years, the man spoke. Rizav, I'm glad you had the chance to come, Valerica said as her body tensed up. She was looking forward to this very moment to finally end what she started years ago. Won't you give your grandfather a hug? You fucking mistake, Rizav asked with venom in his voice. Sure, you'll get your well-deserved hug, Valerica said before walking toward the man. The girls watched the scene unfold, not knowing what to do, but didn't lower their guard. Valerica was 10 meters from the man who was calmly waiting, she had a crazy smirk that grew bigger with every step she took. Balance breaker. Vanishing dragon balance breaker. Valerica immediately took off and flew with her energy wings towards the man who was still waiting calmly. As Valerica was about to hit Rizav, he sidestepped and tapped her armor on the shoulder as she passed him, and her armor suddenly disappeared, most to everyone's, except Rizav's shock. Valerica stopped 10 meters behind Rizav and glared at him with hate. Surprised. This is my special ability that disables any sacred gear with a single touch, explained Rizav with a wicked and mocking smile. Albion. Albion, Valerica shouted, but no response from her partner. You see? Your dragon can't even respond to you, ahahaha. Now, what are you gonna do? Rizav mocked. The other girls took battle stances and got ready to help Valerica defeat Rizav. Don't interfere. I will kill him on my own for what he has done. Valerica shouted as she noticed her harem sisters get ready for battle. The girls became confused and were not sure what to do, they wanted to help, but Valerica was against it. Ahaha. You think you can take me on without your sacred gear? Rizavam asked, but Valerica responded with only a battle cry as she charged at Rizavam, while coating her limbs with strong and potent demonic energy. Hi. Valerica shouted with a punch, but Rizavam dodged it. She launched a barrage of kicks and punches, but Rizavam dodged or blocked them all easily. Maybe if Valerica hadn't let her emotions take over she could land a lot more hits. That went on for a while until Valerica suddenly launched a ball of demonic energy at Rizavam's feet as she leapt away. Valerica landed in front of the girls and watched the smoke slowly disappear. Once the smoke disappeared it revealed nothing, but suddenly they heard a burst of laughter from above. They looked up and saw Rizavam with 12 devil wings in the air. Aha. Is that all you can do without your gear? Such a disappointment you are. Always was, Rizavam said with a disgusted look. Valerica just continued to glare at the bastard who killed her parents and tortured her for days. Valerica, please, let us help, Ingvild begged. No. I must kill him myself. He murdered my parents, I must make him pay. Valerica shouted as she continued to glare at a flying form of Rizavam, but her body was shaking from the rage and sorrow that she felt. Suddenly Valerica felt comfort and warmth as all of the girls hugged her. We understand what you mean, but we can't just watch you fight him alone without your sacred gear. Just think how sad Issei would be if he'd found out that you got hurt or even killed. Irina said. Valerica started to think about it. Just let us help you, we care about you, we can't just sit and watch you fight alone, that freak. Murayama said. Valerica froze and slowly looked at the girls from the corner of her eye and saw all of her sisters smile. Valerica let out a sigh and nodded slowly. Are you done? You almost made me puke, Rizavam said as he landed back on the ground. All of the girls took their battle stances and got ready to fight as they powered up. You are going down, you scumbag, Valerica said. We shall see, you filthy hybrid, Rizavam replied with disgust as he got ready to fight too. Valerica didn't waste any time and charged at Rizavam once again, but this time not alone as Murayama and Caddis charged from the sides with newly created ice swords that were infused with destructive magic. The three got to Rizavam and delivered their powerful attacks with an explosion. Ingvild predicted Rizavam's next move and shot a charged demonic attack into the sky. Ingvild's attack reached her target as they heard a grunt in the sky, followed by a loud thud. Rizavam tried to stand up, but before he could do that Irina slashed with a light sword that was infused with intense holy magic. But before she could cut off Rizavam's head he moved out of the sword's way just in time, but still got slashed across the back as he rolled to the side. Annoying brats, I guess it's enough of games. Rizavam said as he stood up with the help of his wings. Suddenly Caddis, Murayama and Momo passed out from Rizavam's intense and overwhelming aura while Ingvild, Irina and Valerica struggled to breathe. Let me show you what it means to be beneath me, you filth. Rizavam said while he created 2 magic circles in front of him with Lucifer marks. The remaining girls felt what was coming. After I kill you, filth, I will get to that annoying dragon emperor that killed my experiment subject, Rizavam said with malice. When girls heard that their expressions became cold and emotionless as they stood up and glared at Rizavam. What's this? You are still able to stand? Rizavam asked with slight shock and amusement. The trio didn't reply, they just stared at him with killing intent. Even if Rizavam was powerful, those stares sent cold shivers down his spine. Rizavam got tired of waiting, so he just shot 2 charged demonic energy beams at the trio. With a loud explosion, the area was covered in a thick smoke and dust cloud. Hahaha. That all you had? I guess I was excited for nothing, Rizavam laughed. He created a magic circle to leave, but heard a deep growl from the dust cloud. The loud flap followed by a gust of wind that blew away all of the smoke and dust, revealed the trio still standing unscratched and still with emotionless expressions, but what shocked Rizavam the most was a celestial blue dragon that stared at his very soul, with her cold icy blue eyes, and the angel with silver wings in her armor with a sword and a shield that blocked the attack. The celestial dragon released her cold and powerful aura, while Irina did the same with her holy one, and Rizavam understood who he was facing. The Dragon King and the Last Judge. What a surprise. Now let's have some fun. Rizavam said as he took off into the air. The 4 did the same with their wings. Ingvild launched a large barrage of water attacks at Rizavam. He had a hard time dodging all of those attacks, some hit him and slowed him down, as well as damaged him. Valerica shot 2 small compressed beams at Rizavam, and one of them hit him in the back as he was too distracted by Ingvild's attacks. The previous cut from Irina hurt a lot already, and another attack to the back put him at disadvantage, but that was not all as Irina sent a large barrage of light spears that were barely avoidable with their speed. The celestial dragon proceeded by freezing Ingvild's water attacks and creating sharp daggers. It was too much for Rizavam to dodge, so he had to hide behind a barrier that started to crack when the blue dragon launched a blue flame at the barrier. The barrier shattered, but Rizavam dodged the attack, but not so lucky this time as his whole left arm was gone. He drank Phoenix tears and the wounds healed except for the Holy One, and the arm didn't regrow of course. That was painful, but I will finish with you. I saved this for the Red Emperor, but I guess I'll have to use it here to get to him and torture him for eternity. Ha. Rizavam laughed like a complete insane maniac as he took out another vial from his pocket, but it wasn't Phoenix tears. I'll kill that dragon first with Samuel's blood, next get to you too, and later you know who already. After Trihixa was killed, Rizavam completely lost his sanity as his long-planned plans failed so quickly and miserably. Tiamat and Ingvild donned shocked expressions, while Valerica was completely enraged. Balance breaker. Vanishing dragon balance breaker. What? I deactivated your sacred gear, so how? What is this? How are you doing this? Shouted Rizavam, but as an answer, Valerica used her final move. Compression divider. Her energy wings spread and glowed light blue as Valerica slowly divided Rizavam out of existence. And no. Ugh. This is not how I will let this end. This is not the end. Rizavam shouted as he took a step forward, but something stopped him. It was a light spear that pierced his knees, making him fall. He looked back at Valerica and said his final words. Aha, but I hope you are happy to kill me this time for real. It's a shame I didn't get to kill your mother. But I ain't giving up, shouted Rizavam shouted as a golden cup manifested into his hand, but it was too late and he disappeared into nothingness and dropped the cup. Valerica's armor shattered and she fell, but Tiamat caught her just in time. She was asleep, she was too exhausted. Let's go home, Ingvild said as she picked up the golden cup, but it shattered much to her surprise and worry. Tiamat took every passed out harem sister before teleporting to their house with a single thought in her mind. Stay strong, Issei, and please come back soon. Thank you for watching part 6 of this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking the video. I hope to see you in the next video.